It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battlemechs.
Thai Honda technicians have located a facility we believe brave warriors are
Thai Honda, our technicians have located a facility we believe brave warriors are being held by the demonic Davians. Our records indicate this facility was once a walled industrial plant. The walls have been upgraded, but the enemy has yet to commit static defenses or significant infantry. Proceed at once to the area. Deploy your combat vehicles and infantry forces to capture the facility and free any warriors held within. Fight with bravery, Lance Leader. Bring honor to the warlord and victory to the coordinator. After the loss of their Lance Leader, Vajord Lance's deployment to the POW facility was supposed to be an opportunity for a relatively quiet deployment. As lookouts called back in fear, Vajord Lance was once again forced to power up their mechs in defense. Thai Honda ordered his tanks to hold position while his assault lance dealt with the mech forces protecting the makeshift prison. Meanwhile, in an underground cell, a prisoner looked on in concern as his guard slipped away, leaving him alone in the gloom. Turn 1. The Battlemaster charges forward. The Enforcer backs out of the wall gateway. The Cyclops runs on top of the hill in front of him. The Centurion stands still as the Blackjack sends targeting data to his allies equipped with long-range missiles. The Quick-Draw pilot processes the targeting data, getting ready to fire. The Thunderbolt walks forward. The Guillotine runs forward toward the prison wall. The Goblin tanks hold position. The Enforcer has no target. The Cyclops fires his LRM-10 at the distant Blackjack, but misses. The Blackjack holds his fire, concentrating on feeding data to his allies. The Quick-Draw fires his LRM-10 indirectly on the Battlemaster, but misses. The Thunderbolt fires his LRM-15 at the Blackjack, but misses. The Centurion fires on the Guillotine indirectly with his LRM-10, but also misses. The Guillotine is out of large laser range of the Blackjack. The Battlemaster fires his PPC at the Blackjack, but cannot hit the mech. The Goblin tanks are out of range to support. Turn 2. The Quick-Draw holds position, ready for more targeting data. The Enforcer holds his crosshairs on the wall gate. The Cyclops runs to the road and continues towards the prison gate. The Thunderbolt runs around the rubble toward the wall. The Centurion holds position, getting ready to fire his LRMs again. The Battlemaster runs up on the wall gate. The Guillotine runs up on the wall, getting into position. The Goblin tank stays back. The Blackjack holds position, feeding more targeting data. The other Goblin also holds back. The Centurion fires his LRM-10 indirectly on the Battlemaster, hitting it in the left and right torso. The Battlemaster fires on the Blackjack with his PPC, hitting it in the center torso. The Guillotine also fires on the Blackjack, but misses with its large laser. The Goblin tank watches the fight. The Cyclops fires on the Blackjack with his LRM-10, but misses. The Quick-Draw fires indirectly on the Battlemaster, also hitting it in the right and left torso. The Thunderbolt also misses the Blackjack with his LRM-15. The Blackjack fires on the Battlemaster with both his AC-2s, one hitting the assault mech in the center torso. The other Goblin also watches the battle from afar. Turn 3. The Enforcer holds position, waiting for the Draconis mechs to exit the gateway. The Thunderbolt runs around the damaged Battlemaster to take point and enters the gate. The Blackjack stays in its perch, sending data to his allies. The Goblin tank stays back. The Cyclops stands still, waiting for the breakthrough at the gate. The Quick-Draw stands still, readying his LRMs. The Battlemaster walks away, putting his back to the wall, trying to protect the armor blowout in his torso. The guillotine fires his jump jets, leaping over the wall and landing in a small space between the wall and a nearby building, outflanking the Draconans and bringing his weapons to bear on the closest enemy mech. The other goblin holds position in the rear. The Enforcer opens up on the flying guillotine, hitting it with his AC-10 and large laser in the left and right torsos. The Quick Draw also changes his target with the sudden danger, firing his full arsenal, peppering the mech as it lands, stripping the remaining armor from the left torso. The Battlemaster is out of position to fire. The Thunderbolt fires his LRM-15 again at the Blackjack, hitting it with nearly all the missiles, damaging the smaller mech's right arm and torso and the left leg. The Blackjack retaliates with both light autocannons, one hitting the Thunderbolt in the left torso. The Centurion fires all his weapons at the guillotine. The missiles miss, but the AC-10 hits the old Star League mech in the center torso, and the medium laser damages the right torso. Tossed around by taking the fire from almost a full lance of mechs, the mech warrior manages to keep the battle mech under control and returns fire. The heat sinks straining as he unleashes 4 medium lasers and his SRM-6 on the Centurion, damaging nearly every part of his enemy. The tanks continue to just spectate while the Cyclops attempts to fire indirectly on the Centurion but misses with his LRMs. Turn 4. The Thunderbolt charges ahead, ignoring the danger, to make the breakthrough. The Enforcer stands still, lining up on the rear of the Thunderbolt. The Guillotine jumps over the building, trying to flank the Davians. The Blackjack leaps off the building and out of the line of fire. The Centurion backs up to fire on the Thunderbolt. The Quick Draw turns to fire on the rear of the Thunderbolt. The Battlemaster turns around, entering the wall gate. The Cyclops charges forward into the gateway, eager to bring his weapons to bear. The Goblin tanks stay back, content to watch the Titans fight it out. The Blackjack cannot see an enemy mech. The Thunderbolt fires on the Centurion with a large laser, medium laser, SRM-2, and 2 machine guns. The lasers both hit the center torso, and a missile catches the medium mech in the right arm. The Enforcer opens up on the rear of the Thunderbolt, determined to put it down. His AC-10 ripping into the thin armor of the rear center torso, but cannot penetrate. The large laser melts its way through the thin armor of the left torso and destroys one of the larger mech's medium lasers. The Guillotine again opens up on the damaged Centurion with a large laser, 2 medium lasers, and his SRM-6. The SRM-6 rakes across the mech's center torso, left arm, and a medium laser damages the mech's right arm. The Quick Draw Alpha strikes the rear of the Thunderbolt, mostly missing, but finishing off the last of the center torso's rear armor and damaging the mech's left leg. The Battlemaster cannot see the engagement since he is still in the gate with the Cyclops. The Goblin tanks hold their fire. The Centurion unleashes his mech's weapons on the Thunderbolt, hitting it in the center torso, right leg, and right arm, but cannot finish the lumbering giant. Turn 5. The Enforcer backs away. The Guillotine walks up, challenging the Davian mechs. The Cyclops runs out of the gateway, bringing his weapons against the enemy, calling for the tanks to move in. The Goblin tanks, still weary, slowly begin their approach. The Thunderbolt races down the road, trying to cut off the Davians. The Battlemaster runs through the gateway, completing the breakthrough. The Blackjack backs behind a nearby building, taking cover. The Centurion backs away and turns, preparing to withdraw. The Quick Draw jumps behind the Cyclops, desperate to even the odds. The other Goblin tank follows his leader towards the prison complex. The Blackjack cannot get a clear shot. The Battlemaster opens up on the damaged Centurion with his PPC, a medium laser, and his SRM-6. The particle projector cannon and medium laser heavily damaging the Centurion's left arm, destroying the hand and upper arm actuator. The Thunderbolt fires on the Centurion with his large laser, an LRM-15. The large laser finding the Centurion's right arm. The Enforcer fires his AC-10 and large laser at the Guillotine, but misses. Tai Honda fires his mech's AC-20 and a medium laser at the Centurion, but in his haste, the shots go wide. The Centurion returns fire on the Guillotine with his LRM-10 autocannon and medium laser. The AC-10 hitting the Guillotine's left arm, and the medium laser hits the solid armor of the center torso. Quick Draw lets loose with his LRM and SRMs at point-blank range as he lands. The LRMs fail to arm, but the SRMs hit the mech in the rear left torso, and right arm. The Quick Draw's fists swing out, hitting the assault mech in the right arm and rear left torso, but the armor is just too thick. The Goblin tank gunners take their stations. Turn 6. The Thunderbolt walks forward trying to box in the Davians. The Enforcer jumps over the Thunderbolt, trying to line up rear shots on the heavier mech. The Blackjack also repositions to fire on the rear of the Thunderbolt. The Quick Draw jumps around the buildings. The Battlemaster walks forward toward the smaller Davian mechs. The Centurion turns to run, trying to withdraw. The Guillotine manages to stay under control from the damage and runs up behind the Centurion. Rebuked by Tai Honda for their slow speed, the lead Goblin commander orders full speed ahead. The Cyclops recovers from the rear assault of the Quick Draw and runs after the Davians. The other Goblin also races ahead towards the battle. The Thunderbolt fires on the Centurion with his large laser, 2 medium lasers, SRM-2, 2 machine guns. Nearly all the weapons hit the medium mech in the left torso, ripping through the scraps of armor and hitting the unfired LRM ammo. The elite Davian mech warrior doesn't even get the chance to scream as his mech disassembles itself, leaving only smoke behind. Just as the Centurion erupts, AC-10 rounds and large laser fire from the Enforcer fly at the Thunderbolt. The autocannon misses. The large laser hits the mech's right leg, but it is the small laser that hits the mech's unprotected rear center torso, fusing critical parts of the mech's gyro, destroying it. Without the gyro, the mech tumbles, further damaging the mech's already damaged left torso. Knowing his friend is dead, the Enforcer pilot tries to finish the downed Draconis mech, bringing the foot of his mech down on the fallen battle mech. He fails as the Dirian manages to bring the mech's right arm up, damaging the arm but protecting the more vital parts of the Thunderbolt. The Blackjack fires his autocannon 2s and all 4 of his medium lasers at the Guillotine, hitting it in the left arm and leg, but cannot bring down the much larger battle mech. The Quick Draw also fires on the Guillotine with his full complement, but the shock of his comrade's death causes him to miss with it all. The Cyclops fires on the Enforcer with his autocannon 20, 2 medium lasers, and SRM-4. A medium laser and the massive autocannon slam into the mech's left leg, destroying the mech's upper leg actuator, while the SRMs pepper the rest of the mech. The Goblin tanks have no target. The Guillotine alpha strikes the damaged Enforcer. The large laser misses, but medium lasers and SRMs smash into the armor of the torsos and right arm. Turn 7. The Enforcer manages to stay standing after the battle damage to his leg. He leaps around the nearby building trying to take cover and withdraw. The Blackjack jumps out of the combat zone, all the while screaming into his comms for help. The Quick Draw also leaps away, withdrawing. The Battlemaster stands still, trying to cool his overheating mech. The Guillotine jumps over the wreckage, chasing down the Enforcer. The Cyclops also runs around the wreckage, trying to stop the fleeing Davian. The Goblin tanks race ahead into the prison. The Cyclops holds his fire, cooling his mech since he cannot get a clear shot. The Goblin tanks cannot see the Enforcer. The Battlemaster also cools his red-hot mech. The guillotine fires on the stricken enforcer with all of his weapons. The medium lasers and SRMs pepper the mech, but the large laser melts the damaged left leg completely off the mech, causing the enforcer to fall, damaging the mech's other hip and lower leg actuator. Despite the bleeding, the enforcer pilot manages to stay awake. Turn 8. The Battlemaster runs around the wreckage. The Cyclops runs up on the downed enforcer. The guillotine also walks up on the downed medium mech. The Goblin tanks pull up to the nearby buildings, and infantry flood from their carrying bays into the largest structure and the nearby circular structure. The enforcer pilot manages to crawl his mech out of the combat zone. Tai Honda turns to fire, but artillery shells burst, covering the area in thick smoke and radar scrambling chaff. Aftermath. Tai Honda walked down the poorly lit passage the infantry had found under the main building. The pathetic Federated Sun Guards had fled as the battle began, but they would not be able to run forever. He turned a corner and entered the cell. There, infantry medics were binding the wounds of mech warrior Amano. Like a true samurai, the mech warrior did not let his injury stop him. Shakily, he stood and bowed to his commander. Honda bowed slightly in reply, then called, "Nitsu!" Amano took the canteen, gulped down the water like he had not drank in days. The Davian pigs would pay for this, Tai Honda promised himself. If they were lucky, they would fall like the dog they had just dispatched in the battle. If not, their fate would be worse than anything Amano had endured.